What is going on? We've got an OTF, an out the front knife to talk about today, and it comes to us from Takcom. Takcom, which is it's a little confusing, but it does come in a nice, cool Pelican case, and they include some extra hardware, which I talked about in the unboxing. So the hardware on here is satin. They give you black hardware for this. They don't give you a black clip and a black hardware for the clip, and black thing here, but they do give you these 6 black body screws. So, kind of a miss. They could have included, I think, a black clip also to just make it all blacked out, but that's just me. All right, so Takcom is kind of a not 100% sure, but it's a company that was formed between Bestech, who manufactured this, as well as Tac Knives, who's been designing and making OTFs for a little while. Shane is the owner of Takcom and Tac Knives, kind of marketed as TK Pro Knives. So I think what they're doing is really kind of going away from Tac Knives and fully going to Takcom, but I'm not 100% sure on that. I'm a little vague, but I am going to try to get Shane, the owner of Takcom, on the EDC hour here shortly, and we can delve into all of that on a live stream with him. So he reached out to me on Instagram and asked if I would be interested in checking this out. And 9 out of 10 times I say, yes, I do want to check it out because, well, it's what I do. I show all the knives. All right, so let's just dive right into some of the specs real quick, and then we'll talk more details. It's 5 1/8, 8 7/16 overall with a 3 1/4 inch blade. It is M390, aluminum scales, really nice fire mechanism. The spring is good tension, weighs in at 4.4 ounces. The rest of the specs probably nobody actually cares about. I will tell you, this thing is really sharp, okay? So normally your OTF, well, we'll just do it. So that didn't go all the way. So what happens is a lot of times people think, hey, if I just hold this up against and boom, I'm going to stab somebody in the gut or the hand or the whatever. I'm not going to try it because this thing is so sharp, it's going to cut me anyway. But as you can see, just a piece of paper is enough to stop the blade. And what happens then is it just free flows. So to get it back into position, you just pull it out until it locks open, and then you're good to go again. Okay? Kind of cool. All OTFs work that way. Okay, that's a normal function. But this thing is really, really sharp out of the box. Super cool in that regard. Okay, now you'll notice up here, you've got a seatbelt cutter. So this, I don't even think I mentioned the model name. This is the Grunt, which you probably saw by the title. And the name Grunt came from a customer. They held a contest to name this knife. And so he wrote in, whatever the contest was, I don't know, but this was named by a customer, a viewer, or whatnot, got the name. And this was designed primarily for first responders and military. That's what the intent was behind this knife. So they added the seatbelt cutter. They knew, and I talked to Shane this morning, that this was not going to be well received by everybody. So they have launched this now. This is a brand new release. This company has only been in business for a year, literally January of 2023. Bestech and Tac Knives sat down over lunch at SHOT Show and created Takcom and started working on a few offerings. So they are releasing this one now. In about a month and a half, he told me, they are going to have this same model with no seatbelt cutter. I like the idea of the seatbelt cutter. Like, I think it's a cool idea to have built into your knife, right? Because if in an emergency situation where you have to cut a seatbelt, you have to cut somebody's jeans off, you have to cut their boot off, you're not going to want to do that with your blade because you're cutting their jeans off, for instance, because they're injured and you need to get to the wound to do whatever first aid you need to do, regardless, whatever their condition is, their injury is, right? Well, with a long blade like this, you're more apt to cut them again and create more injury. If you can just turn this around and you can just grab it at the bottom of their jeans and slide up and cut that open, cut open their boot, cut off their t-shirt so you can check for bleeding, and then act appropriately, that is a better way to go. However, it's a pretty big opening here. I'm not trying really hard to get my finger in there, but I kind of feel as though my pinky could get in there and potentially get cut. The other thing that happens every time I put it in my pocket, it goes into my jeans and it gets hung up right here on this edge. Now, it hasn't cut my pocket. I haven't forced it in or anything like that, but it does get hung up. And then I've got to go kind of wiggly to get it down inside. So Shane did say as soon as they release the non-seatbelt cutter one, he's going to send me one also so that I will do a quick kind of follow-up video and show them both side by side and, whatnot, because I think that would be cool. I don't know if they're going to move the pocket clip any direction or whatnot. I'm going to suggest to him that he uses countersunk hardware. Nobody listens to me, but countersunk hardware is the way to go here and here. It just makes it much more slim. It's going to go in and out of your pocket a lot better. It works, but I kind of had to go slimmy, Jimmy to get it in my pocket fully seated. Okay? Other than that, I think it's pretty cool. And I'm not really an OTF guy. I do have one other OTF. This is from Boker. It's a little California legal under 2-inch blade of D2 that is a USB looking, type thing, goes on your keychain. This one is, if I recall, this one really just sits in the drawer, is not as sharp. It cuts, but it also kind of tears. So this one does need a sharpening. I may send this down to Alex when I send him some other knives to sharpen. But I'm not a big OTF guy. I do have a couple of side openers. This is a Hellraiser because, well, it's a Hellraiser. And you all know I have a bit of a Hellraiser problem. So if they're going to make an automatic version, I'm going to get it. But the OTFs, automatic knives for me don't super appeal to me. They're kind of cool, but I haven't really spent much money buying a lot of automatic knives. Partially because I live in California. And California has very strict rules on automatic knives, as I'm sure you can imagine. In fact, I may be mistaken that this may have changed by now, but carrying an automatic knife out in public is a felony, where carrying a firearm is a misdemeanor. Riddle me that, Batman. I don't understand. That was the Spyderco Delica. Since I pulled out the automatic Hellraiser, let me show you that kind of side by side for comparisons. This is not a bad size. It works really well. It's a good, decent sized blade. It feels good in the hand. It's not bad. It's .470 thick minus the clip. So it is a pretty good carry other than it getting hung up here on the seatbelt cutter, getting it in and out of your pocket. Yeah, just in. Comes out just fine. So it is a good knife. It feels really good in the hand. It comes super sharp. I like the aesthetics of it. There's no real branding. It does say M390. It does have the logo on the pocket clip. I would prefer no logo on the clip. But you could easily sand that off. I can feel a little texture. Maybe some rubbing alcohol might even take that off. I don't know. But all in all, I think it's a pretty good package. I totally forgot to write down the price, so I'll put that in the description. Don't quote me on this, but I thought it was like $295, but I've done some other videos of knives in that $295 range, so I might be getting it confused. So I apologize that I didn't have that handy. I thought I had it written down in my notes, but I don't. Now you do have a little bit of blade play, if you can hear that. However, that's totally normal. Every single OTF is going to have a little blade play other than deadlock. Those ones have zero blade play. And then somebody had commented in my unboxing video, because I mentioned that also, and that said, oh, they had a Heretic Hydra that had no blade play. I don't think I've done one of those, so I can't confirm or deny that. That same person also said that Microtech has no blade play. And I know I have done some videos on those, and I know that they typically do, but that's not a problem. Some people are like, oh my gosh, it has some play and it makes rattly noises. It's not a problem. That's just how it goes. Let's see, can I actually hold this? And yes, so you can hold it and disengage it. Again, that's fine. If you're smart enough or you're dumb enough, you could do this and it would certainly gum it up. It's not going to stab and go through your hand like you see in the movies. That's just not how it goes. As you saw, the single piece of printer paper stopped and knocked the blade off its track, if you will. So, Shane, man, thanks for reaching out. It's been great chatting with you throughout this process of me getting an understanding, and I still didn't have all the details. So I will try to get him on the EDC hour so we can really dive into the partnership between Best Tech and Tac Knives. Is it its own company? Is Best Tech involved in the company, or is Best Tech just the manufacturers? I am not 100% sure. So forgive me on not having that tiny detail, but I guarantee, I know that it is manufactured by Best Tech, and I have worked with Best Tech for a while now, on and off on some of their new releases and stuff. So I really enjoy what Best Tech brings to the table. In fact, I have this one that they just sent me, the QQ, and I think I'm pronouncing that wrong, actually, because Tressa over there sent me a phonetic spelling of it, and I think I'm still pronouncing it wrong, but that's okay. So this is kind of a cool knife that was designed by one of the daughters of the owner of Best Tech. So it's kind of cool story. Go check out my other video of that from a couple days ago. So there you go. Let me stop rambling about OTFs and this cool Takcom Grunt. So thanks a lot, guys. Let me know your thoughts down below, and stay tuned for the next video.